Forget everything polite you ever heard. India's railways are a disaster, plain and simple. While China rides the fast track to high-speed modernity by constructing tens of thousands of kilometers of high-speed rail, India's trains crawl along as if stuck in yesterday's monsoon-flooded dirt. You might think that's a harsh indictment, but by the end of this video, I think you'll agree. The moment you step into an Indian train station, you feel it. Overcrowding, delays that could make you miss a lifetime, and cleanliness so questionable you wonder if soap is an invention that India has not embraced yet. Trains get canceled, tracks break down, toilets don't work. It's embarrassing. And it hurts millions of people every day. Let's get straight into it and talk facts. India has over 22,000 trains running daily, serving 23 million passengers. That scale sounds impressive until you compare it to China. China's railway system moves nearly 3 billion passengers a year with far fewer accidents, far higher punctuality, and bullet trains that now cross at speeds up to 350 kilometers per hour. In India, average train speed is barely 55 kilometers per hour. That's a fraction of China's average speed, and it hasn't improved much in decades. So let's dive into why India's railways are so bad and why China's are so good. What's the root of India's problems? Start with underinvestment. Over the past 10 years, India's capital spending on rail per passenger has been a fraction of China's. While China built over 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail lines in 15 years, which is more than the rest of the world combined, by the way, India has managed only a couple of hundred kilometers, and mostly in theory. The proposed Delhi-Mumbai bullet train has faced endless delays, land acquisition problems, and funding bottlenecks. In contrast, China easily built its Beijing-Shanghai bullet train in less than 6 years, connecting 2 megacities and tens of millions of people swiftly and reliably. Then there's maintenance, or rather, the lack of it. Rusty tracks, outdated signaling, and aging carriages are the norm in many parts of India. A 2023 audit by the Comptroller and Auditor General noted that thousands of track segments are massively overdue for renewal, and signaling systems across large corridors remain legacy analog tech. Meanwhile, China's network embraces cutting-edge digital signaling, automatic train operation, and predictive maintenance powered by big data. That means China catches breakdown risks before they turn into full-blown delays or dangerous accidents. Large parts of rural India still rely on the old British railway system, which is over a century old at this point. Safety is another sore spot. India records hundreds of rail accidents each year, from derailments to collisions. One high-profile case in 2024 involved a passenger train in West Bengal, crashing into stationary coaches, killing dozens. Investigators blamed faulty signaling and outdated manual control systems, and I'm sure you've all seen the short videos of Indians taking selfies next to oncoming trains, only to get hit, a very sad lack of civic and common sense. China, by contrast, reported near zero fatalities on its high-speed network last year. Occurrences are rare, responses quick, and systems stay modern. People talk about the rail network density myth. India's rail map covers more route kilometers than China's. That may be true, but density does not equal efficiency. Much of India's rail map is narrow gauge or meter gauge, legacy routes that can barely handle modern trains. Efforts to convert them take years. Meanwhile, China laid entirely new standard gauge tracks with generous clearances for long, wide-bodied fast trains. India's narrow tunnels, tight curves, and mixed traffic, freight, suburban, long distance, all on the same tracks, make delays inevitable. The punctuality stats say it all. In India, on-time performance often hovers around 60 to 70%. Delays of 30 minutes or more are common and often untracked. In China's high-speed network, on-time arrival exceeds 90% reliably, even in bad weather. That's because China enforces strict scheduling, real-time monitoring, and modern signals. India's antiquated system still relies on manual timekeeping and paper tokens in some sections. Capacity is another issue. India's rail network is overcrowded. Freight and passengers share the same tracks. Freight trains often take priority, causing passenger trains to wait, sometimes for hours. Between 2015 and 2020, passenger train cancellations rose by over 10% due to track congestion and poor scheduling. In China, separate freight corridors keep passenger services running smoothly and quickly. When modernization does happen in India, implementation is slow and patchy. The Vande Bharat Express trains, India's only semi-high-speed trains, are nice, but there are only a few routes. Tickets sell out fast, but most Indians still ride old mail or express trains that run at snail's pace. Meanwhile, China has rolled out 40,000 kilometers of electrified high-speed lines, serving nearly every regional pairing in the country. That translates into a new generation of rail users accustomed to comfort and speed, which demand good performance. India doesn't have that. Now let's talk about the economic side of things. Railways in India have huge subsidies, over several $billion annually to keep fares low. That's noble in theory, but it leaves scant capital for upgrades, and let's be real, a lot of it is consumed by low-level government corruption. China also subsidizes rail, but it uses revenues and ancillary services, station retail, high-speed tariffs, freight charges, to fund continuous renewal. In India, commuters pay less, but at the cost of modernization and safety improvements. The result? A short-term low price, long-term suffering and stagnation. This is where the overall economy kicks in. China is able to afford their rail because their economy is 5 times larger than India's, even with the same population. Also, we need to mention political inertia. Every time there's a big rail project, it becomes a political football. Promises made, deadlines extended, funds reallocated. The result is half-built lines, stalled bullet train projects, and so on. Officials pontificate about increasing speeds or expanding corridors, but progress is measured in inches, not miles. Ah, the beautiful bureaucracy of India. Now, I don't deny efforts have been made. There's track electrification, station redevelopment under the Amrit Bharat station scheme, and digital ticketing. Good steps, but implementation drags. In many rural stations, even basic amenities like clean platforms, waiting rooms, and escalators are missing. If you're disabled, don't even think about getting a train. In China, stations, big and small, are modern, clean, air-conditioned, and designed for efficient movement. Tourists are often amazed when they first visit a train station and remark that it's similar to an airport. Let's examine some news stories. Take the tragic derailment in Odisha in 2023. Initial railway reports blame driver error, but independent investigations pointed at poorly maintained tracks and outdated switches. Passengers described corrugated rails, rattling carriages, rusted emergency brakes that screeched but failed to stop in time. It was a disaster that could and should have been prevented. Meanwhile, China's rail incident reports rarely involve infrastructure failure. They often cite rare external causes like extreme weather or human sabotage, not systemic neglect. And there's many anecdotal reports, such as train drivers from Delhi talking about how their antiquated systems still use paper to track information. But here's the kicker. India has the brains, engineers, scientists, universities. It's not a capacity issue, it's an execution one. China taps into local manufacturing, trains built domestically like Fuxing and CRRC models. India imports coaches and equipment or buys under license from abroad, but rollout is slower. That gap slows innovation, slows upkeep, and sadly costs more. Now contrast with China's bold expansion, new lines every year, cross-border extensions, metropolitan ring routes, all electrified, double or quadruple tracked. With dedicated freight and passenger flow, China moves goods and people fast. India still operates on legacy lines built in the 19th century, with upgrades stuck in political and bureaucratic sand. You might ask, is anything changing? There's talk of dedicated freight corridors or DFC, high-speed rail, station modernization. These are all good, but slow, very slow. DFC progress is often behind schedule. Bullet train projects delayed. Electrification is approaching 100% on main routes, but that doesn't instantly solve signaling or capacity problems. To sum it up, India's railways are stuck in the slow lane, overcrowded, obsolete, unsafe, underfunded, and poorly managed. China's system flaunts speed, safety, capacity, cleanliness, all backed by constant investment, modern tech, and professional management. One looks like the future, the other feels like history. Ending on a hopeful note, India can change, but it will take a gargantuan effort. If rail leadership stopped playing politics and started investing in technology, training, maintenance, and passenger experience, if they demanded standards, tracked performance, punished delays, pushed modernization with urgency, China did it by prioritizing rail as national infrastructure, not just a public utility. India needs that same urgency, or passengers will keep paying the price. So, rail in India now is shamefully behind, not because India lacks talent, but because the system resists change. Until that changes, people will continue to suffer through delays, danger, overcrowding, and slow speed. Now look at the other side, China. High-speed trains, clean stations, digital ticketing, safety first, under-track separation, predictable schedules, regional connectivity built in years. India still dreams about these. It's harsh, but someone's got to say it. India's railways are failing passengers. They aren't just slow, they're stuck. If you found this video interesting, then please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.